Hello, this is Solving Equations, Multi-Step Equations, Example 4. And this is the equation that we have to solve, and it's a very tricky one. If you look at this, this number, 3/2, is multiplying this, and it equals 24. So you might think, well, I'm going to distribute this 3/2 in there. And that's perfectly valid. We've done that many times to equations. Just recently, of course, we've done it to equations. And that is a valid technique. And I want to just show you that it can be done. 3/2 times 3x is 9/2 x. 3/2 times 5 is 15/2 equals -24. And now we're going to subtract 15/2 to both sides. And if you're wondering how to do that, this is how I would do that. It's going to be -24, take away -15/2. So here's -24, take away 15/2. 15, fraction key 2 is 15/2, and that equals -31 1/2. And now we have 9/2 x equals -31 1/2. This is very similar to this. 2x equals 6, so x was 6 divided by 2. And in another example, I showed you that if 2/3 x equals 12, the same way in this equation where I did 6 divided by 2, in this equation I have to do 12 divided by 2/3. So in this equation I have to do -31 1/2 divided by 9/2. That was -31 fraction key 1 fraction key 2 divided by 9 fraction key 2 equals -7. So in that way I showed that x equals -7. We had to do some fraction things, but the scientific calculator really helps us with fractions, and I think that was a very easy way to do it. Now the book talks about multiplying both sides by the reciprocal of 3/2, so they're going to multiply times 2/3. That's perfectly valid. If you understand reciprocals, just go ahead and do that. But I'm going to claim that this is like this. See, this is a number times this equals this. A number times this equals this. So we ended up with this equals this divided by that. So instead of multiplying by the reciprocal, which certainly is valid, I am just going to do -24 divided by 3/2. And that's -16. And this is 3x plus 5 equals -16. So now this looks like many equations we've solved before, and you can see how simple this makes it compared to what we did here. This was quite complicated with all the fractions that we did, and let's see what happens. We're going to minus 5 to both sides, so we get 3x equals -21, and then x equals -7. Same thing we got here, but this is a little easier, I guess.